Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first kickoff webinar session for the Agile Adoption in Africa webinar series. I'm emphasizing on series as we will be having other webinars that will follow up this session on a monthly basis. My name is Anthony Munge, and I'm the Chapter Engagement Partner for the Sub-Saharan Africa region for PMI. So, today's session, we will have an introduction of the think tank members. The think tank members are experts, Agile experts, who will take us through today's session. And during the session, we will have our very own Emeka Onachuku, the sales and marketing head in the Sub-Saharan Africa region from PMI, moderate the session. That's for the roundtable session. A few housekeeping guidelines that I'd like to highlight. So all participants will be on mute and videos turned off. Feel free to continue your talking in the chat box. If you have any questions, please submit your questions in the chat box and put Q before your questions so that we will easily spot it. This session is being recorded. Send us your feedback at pmiafrica@pmi.org with the subject line Agile Adoption in Africa. Also, you can send us some topics that you would like to hear covered during this series. So send also to pmiafrica@pmi.org. Have a great meeting. So very briefly on the Agile think tank team. The Agile think tank comprises of Agile experts from all over Africa. I'll start with Alex Baguidi from Senegal, Clement Kitetu from Kenya, Grace Johansson from Nigeria, Peter Omotosh from Nigeria, Yannick Arekion from Mauritius. As I highlighted before, this is a webinar series, so we will be having sessions every month touching on various topics in Agile. In our today's session, we'll focus on what is Agile, the Agile journey, what are the successes of implementing Agile across Africa, what are the barriers or impediments of Agile adoption in Africa, and how can these barriers or impediments be addressed? I'd like to welcome the Agile think tank members to introduce themselves and hand over to our moderator, Emeka, to kick off the expert session. Welcome, guys. Alex, Clement, Grace.
Hi, Anthony. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Anthony. So like you mentioned, my name is Alex Bagiti. I am part of the Agile Africa think tank. Really happy to be with you guys. And a little bit about myself. I am an Agile consultant and trainer, currently based in Senegal, usually in North America and Canada. Been in the game for around 10 years. Started as a project manager and slowly moved to Agile practices and the Agile mindset. So what can I say? I'm a trainer for Scrum.org, so working on Scrum, Kanban, Discipline Agile, and SAFe, working on those. So trying to make sure that people understand and adopt this mindset, and hopefully we can have more Agilists on the African continent. Really excited to be here with you guys, and I'm going to pass it on to Clement. Go ahead, Clement.
Hey, thank you, Alex, and good evening or good day, everyone. Like you've heard, my name is Clement Kitetu. I am the principal consultant and chief transformation agent at the Institute of Applied Project Management, where we help organizations to up their game. One of the things that we have started doing is the Agile transformation, helping organizations to adopt Agile. I also help Strathmore University and Cavendish University of Zambia as a lead adjunct in project management matters. I am happy to be here with you to discuss about Agile. I am a disciplined Agile senior Scrum Master and also part of the disciplined Agile value stream consultant community of practice of around 100 of us who are trying to figure out how disciplined Agile needs to look like in the future. And I'm also in a 7-man bench where we are trying to talk about disciplined agile enablement globally, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get into the plenary session. Thank you very much, and looking forward to interacting with all of you, and most welcome to today's event.
Okay, Clem, hand over to you.
So I can pass the baton to Grace.
Okay. Oh, good evening, Africa. I'm glad to be here. My name is Grace Johnson, and I'm from Nigeria. I'm an Agile practitioner and a professional Kanban trainer. I love Agile, and I hope to see in the coming years how Agile really transform Africa and really put us at that pivotal place in the world, transforming organizations and actually changing our mindsets. I've been on a few boards internationally. I've also been able to work with a worldwide team to help further Agile adoption across the world and in Africa. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, Grace, pass it over. Who else? Peter?
Yeah.
Pete. Yes, Pete.
Thank you so much. Good morning from here, Australia down under, and of course, good evening to everyone across Africa. So my name is Peter Motoshow, and just like everyone here is I am an Agile enthusiast. I've been kind of doing Agile for quite a while, and on top of what I do, I am very passionate about the adoption of Agile in Africa, and this is what I do day in, day out. It's primary to my heart and dear to my heart, such that I go along well with almost all the PMI chapters, trying to work with them to bring the story of Agile across the board. Most recently, I have worked with PMI Nigeria chapter, having a chat with my folks in Ghana, my folks in Zimbabwe, and so on and so forth. So the sole goal is for everyone to see the importance and the ideas that Agile brings onto the table. I support quite a number of organizations in Australia and, of course, in Africa. And I guess as we go along today, more information about what we've been doing will come up here. So generally, look at me as an Agile evangelist, bringing the gospel of Agile to individuals, to teams, and to organizations, most especially at home in Africa. Thank you. Yannick.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here today as part of this forum of great thinkers in Agile. So my name is Yannick Arekian, and I am originally based from Mauritius and now been living in Australia since late 1990s. So my Agile journey started in early 2000 when I was heavily involved in software development, and same as everyone else. So there's lots of pressures into delivering better quality of software, so faster. So this is where I learned about Agile, and I did my first Scrum Master certification in 2005. So, and since then, when I discovered Agile, I continued my journey and did a lot of other certifications in SAFe and PMI ACP. And I've been heavily involved and is also currently involved with a PMI, running the PMI ACP training course. And I do a lot of consultancy work for the Australian government to help them deliver large projects using Agile in Canberra. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, team. Thank you, think tank members. I'm very, very grateful for this wonderful opportunity. Also, to everyone in the platform now, we're very, very happy to have you with us. So we're going to go straight, because of time, to what we have for you today. The think tank members will be handling some questions which we've actually set up for this particular session. However, we would also like you to drop your questions on the chat box should you have any questions. Basically, our focus today is about Agile adoption in Africa. So once again, my name is Emeka Oscar Onachuku. I am Sales and Marketing Associate for PMI here in Nigeria, and I'll be moderating this session. So we'll start with the introductory question first, and I will put that question over to Yannick. And the first thing we have here is we try to understand, or we've seen that Agile is becoming popular across the globe in various industries. Could you actually shed more light on what the meaning of Agile is for the sake of those who are not very, very familiar with the term Agile? Over to you, Yannick.
So thank you, Emeka. So it's very important to understand the foundation of Agile. So when running a project, when we are doing Agile. So when I do talk to most of my clients across government departments and non-government departments, so there's very often a misconception about what Agile is. So a lot of people tell me Agile is about daily stand-up or about sprint and Kanban. But to really understand, so we need to go back to the roots, so where it all started. So Agile, the jargon of Agile, talking about Agile started in 2001 when we had 17 developers that met in a ski resort in Snowbird in US, in Utah. So these people, they were already doing some sort of Agile, so through different methodologies like extreme programming, like DSDM and Scrum. So they decided to meet because they were all facing the same challenges. So they met for a whole weekend in that ski resort. And what came out of it was what we call the Agile Manifesto. So the Agile Manifesto consists of 4 values and 12 principles. So I would encourage everyone to Google and read about those values and those principles. So when we analyze these principles and the manifesto values, what it comes out as, it is a mindset. So it's very important to understand Agile is about a mindset. So that is derived from these 12 principles and 4 values. So this mindset drives our behavior in the way we deliver projects. So this is what the essence of where Agile started. And since then, it has evolved because it's been 20 years. So now already since the manifesto was created, and we've seen a lot of different practices and techniques and other frameworks and methodologies that arise based on these 12 principles and methodologies. So thank you.
All right, Yannick, also, in addition to that too, how would you view Agile journey across the globe?
So since 20 years ago, so what is important is that why did these people met and why are we moving towards Agile? So there is a standard report and survey that was done, and we've seen a massive increase in Agile adoption across different industries and government department and non-government department and software and non-software, non-IT as well. So in the last year, we've seen from 37% adoption to 86% in software development, and non-software development from 26% to 60% adoption. So the reason of that is because we live in a world, what we call the VUCA world. So it's a world where everything is volatile. There's uncertainty, there's complexity and ambiguity. So the current way of solving problem of running projects is no longer adequate. This is why people are trying to find new ways, and this is where Agile fits in perfectly well. So it helps us to deliver a project where there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of requirements from the clients and new technology. It's very hard to know if we are using a new technology. Can I do a long-term plan for 2 years and do a big design and think that it's going to work? So we need to be able to inspect and adapt as we go along. This is where Agile fits in nicely in today's world, especially when we have COVID. We are in lockdown and we need to change the way we work, working from home. So this is why we are seeing an increase everywhere around the world, because this is not only affecting software, but it's affecting everyone in the way they work and the way they behave and interact among each other.
All right, thank you so much, Yannick. Yeah, thank you, Yannick. I don't know, I would like to throw it open to, okay, actually, Alex, from your view, how would you view the Agile journey generally here across the globe and also Africa too?
Thanks, Emeka. I would say it's been an interesting journey. So there is a yearly report called the State of Agile report. We are at the 15th edition right now. In that report, you can see that Africa is still a lot of progress to make. So it's actually at the bottom of the list, right? So the whole world have seen this opportunity to inspect and adapt, to this opportunity to adjust the processes and find better ways of working. In Africa, we're still figuring that out. I think a few companies are trying, but
Alex, you're on mute.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay, sorry about that. So I was just saying that there is a report that comes out every year called the State of Agile report. We're at the 15th edition right now. So in that report, you can see that Africa is not really doing well. So we have some progress to make there. The rest of the world have been figuring out, okay, we have to find better ways of working to deal with that VUCA world that Yannick was mentioning. So in Africa, we need more leaders who are open to adopt this new mindset. And yeah, it's time to act on it, I think. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Alex. Also, for the sake of the audience, just to reiterate that the objective of this event is to really understand what Agile is and why Africa should be adopting Agile and how Africa should go about being Agile. So the questions we have and the Agile Think members will be addressing today would be treating or talking about each of these objectives. Please, if you don't mind, whoever is on, if you're not muted, please ensure you mute your mics, please. So, to the next question now, I would like to hand that over to Peter and Alex. Now, looking at the Africa and as a continent, would you actually say that we have been successful in implementing Agile in Africa? Right? What's your view, Peter and Alex? I'll start with Peter first before Alex.
All right, Emeka, thank you so much for that question. I'll say in Africa, it's been somewhat successful, and I say somewhat because while the people that have adopted Agile, right, they have actually seen the result, but the percentage of those that have adopted Agile is really small. In fact, I would say negligible. Going by the fact that Africa is one of the most populous continents in the world, you want to see Agile being adopted across Africa, and probably Africa being one of the leaders in Agile adoption. In the last few years, it has become imperative. It has become, you know, a go-to framework, a go-to approach to delivering large-scale project, even small-scale project, individual project, personal project. Agile works across all these sectors. Now, the other time, Alex mentioned the state of Agile, report. Every year in, year out, these comes true to the level of adoption. For instance, the 14th edition that was in 2020, yeah, there are about 2%, that are counted that used Agile. That is negligible statistically. That is negligible. So I would say we have not actually caught the bug in Africa. However, not to say that we have not done anything. A lot of organizations, banks, fintechs, large-scale organizations are actually evolving their trade using the Agile framework. And if I transpose that to what happens in the rest of the world, in Australia here, where I am heavily involved across the board in really rolling out Agile transformation, there are a lot of organizations on states and regions that are ramping up their Agile trade, which is what we are seeing in the continent as well. Now, the rate of adoption is lower. That's what we are talking about. The rate of adoption in Africa is slower. So the success rate, I'll come again to say somewhat. You know, when you fill surveys and you say somewhat, which means, well, it's not where we want it to be, but it's a good starting point. I also want to really reiterate the fact that one of the foundational reasons why adoption of Agile ramps up is when you have competent individuals, competent teammates. In recent years, Agile training across the continent is going up. People are becoming aware. People are becoming, and they are coming open to say, yeah, I want to learn about these. I have folks that we grew up together, my friends, they are calling me every time, Pete, please give us some training. Organizations are reaching out, we need training. Individuals are saying, I want competence development opportunities, give me training. So when this is done, we will say that this educational program will set up the foundation, and that is where the mindset comes in. And of course, it's a different ballgame. We talk about mindset. In fact, 3 hours, we are still here. Now, I will start by really mentioning the work that thought leaders across Africa, especially some of us that have worked across the globe, are doing. Everybody on this think tank committee is doing one thing or the other to raise awareness of Agile across Africa. And I have worked with several others who are doing amazing work. When Agile turned 20 years, when I said Agile Manifesto, when it was 20 years, I teamed up with 17 other guys to really talk about governance in Nigeria, for instance. I've worked with quite a number of African organizations to really bring Agile to the table. Since 2017, I've been speaking in Nigeria, for instance. PMI is doing this work. And you can see pocket of all these all around. So thought leaders are also doing a lot of work. And in no time, and I say this, in no time, we see our percentage ramp up from 2% to 20% to 60% to 80%. I can't wait for that time. So I'll just pass over to you, Alex, to really add to that.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Just checking. Yeah, so I really like what Pete was mentioning about the training. That's so true. There's a lot of training going on. I think the awareness is starting to rise. I had the chance to travel a little bit around Africa, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Benin, in Senegal currently, in Guinea also. Like a lot of those countries are starting digital transformations because of the change they see coming. But something I observe also is, people want to get the certification, and if the few letters after their name, that's great. It's good, to boost your career and to move on. But if you don't practice, if you don't attach some field experience to that, what's the point? You become just a certified incompetent. I'm sorry to say that, that's true. You want to also, as leaders, find ways or create ways for those people who are certified to practice these things. I think we're kind of missing that right now. But it's a start, to get that knowledge, to be educated. That's really good. Also, if I want to talk to the leaders, the people who are making decisions, the people who have the power in organizations, creating a culture of change, getting people to know that things are going to evolve, right? And giving them the tools to face that change. right? We in DA, for example, we talk about context that counts, right? So making sure that we adapt the right approaches, adapted to our realities, can be helpful to get to that success. And I'll finish with just having the will, right? We want to change, okay, as team members, but if the organization and the leaders don't want to put that change in place, it's never going to happen. Let's be honest here. So if leadership is not open to that, we're going to have a problem there. So I really want to be hopeful. I think people are starting to wake up and putting in place the right processes, not as complicated. An example that comes to mind is I was working as a consultant in a company in Canada, and they had like 4 different architecture committees. So you do all the development as a team, you work in 2 weeks, you create something, and you arrive at the end, and you have to go through 4 steps of reviews before you push it in the end of your user. I'm sorry, that's not Agile. So that's just an example of things you don't want to do if you want to be successful with Agile. So yeah, let's change things, guys.
Okay, but I would just like to ask this question again. Maybe I would also like to hear from Grace or Clement. From your experience, from your professional engagement with organizations here in Africa, would you say also that it has been successful implementing Agile in some of those organizations? So let me hear from you, Grace. Just a minute, your view.
Well, there are obvious challenges to Agile adoption in Africa, and working with people, not just in Africa, across the globe, there have been challenges. And I like to see the challenges on 2 fronts, on the personal level and on the organization level, right? We try to be Agile, and we also want to do Agile. One of the challenges is the mindset change. It's not easy coming to, begin to introduce something new to people. There will be resistance. And then on the organization level, you have the team might not just, it wasn't easy for me as well on the personal level to really transit from being a project manager, being project management minded, traditional approach. Because I know I have done a lot of project management all through the years. I've done my postgraduate in project management. And so the mindset change was a big challenge for me. I remember being faced with a case study at some point, and quickly my project manager instinct kicked in. That is one of the challenges. On the organization level as well, I see also the challenges on 2 fronts. The why of Agile and the how of Agile. The why speaks to the vision and the purpose for your Agile transformation, and the how speaks to the strategy. Now, if you're not able to communicate vision to not just on the management level and to the team as to why you need an Agile transformation, it becomes a problem. That will be you definitely face roadblocks. If you're also not able to come up with a strategy for Agile transformation, you will definitely also face challenges towards Agile implementation and adoption on the organization level. So I basically see the challenges are on 2 fronts, individually and also organization-wide. So vision and strategy. Yes.
Okay, so in details, what barriers and impediments do you see generally across organizations in adopting Agile?
Yes, organizations really want to be Agile, right? Agile is the buzzword everywhere, and the pandemic actually made it really, really popular. But it's the mindset, it's the really doing Agile, I remember being at an event hosted by one of the big banks in Belgium, and it was actually a big bank in Europe, and they were taking us through how they were successful doing the Agile transformation. And one of the major things they did was to one way or another convince management, the execs, to get training on Agile and get a certification. So, with a motivation attached, it was really fun hearing that, but it worked. Going through the training, helped the execs know the why of Agile adoption, and then the how, the strategy. So I guess that's the way to go when you want to do an Agile transformation. you get into the minds of the people first. When you're able to get into the minds of the people, the open-mindedness of the people allows the transformation to flow across board.
So basically, I can say that one major barrier we can see across organizations is for them really understanding the why and the how Agile. So those areas need to be addressed.
What are the gaps? What are the gaps over the years? What are the gaps? What are the gaps? You know, when adopting the traditional approach, what are the gaps? We know the long-term planning, the risk involved in long-term planning. We know over time our calculations have not always been correct over time. And so hence the reason why, Agile is much more the way to go, because you're reducing risks when you're reducing the length of planning. And so you have an opportunity to always inspect and adapt. And that's what COVID-19 has taught us. Quickly inspect, quickly adapt, be resilient.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Grace, for that light. Clement, now from your experience also, how could these barriers or impediments be addressed?
Well, thank you very much, Emeka. I will come from where everyone has touched. It's a mindset thing. Specifically, the way we think influences the way we feel. The way we feel influences the way we act. So because we have been brought up in this very traditional way of doing things, it becomes a little bit hard for us to change. And you hear managers say, you need to stop, start, and whatever. But that's not the case. We need to change the way we act, so that we need to go back the loop. So because the way we feel is about actions, is about images. It's about images, words, the things that we have known and how we have been taught about project management. We'll want to say from an African context, maybe 10 years ago, we were even struggling with understanding the traditional project management. And now we quickly now start talking about agile project management. So it becomes another thing. It's like, is this for software? No, it's not for software. It's for transformation. It's for, Yannick talked about VUCA. We are swimming in a very complex environment with so many sharks that can swallow our business. So we need to start changing our behavior, moving back all the way to the way we act. So it's a mindset thing that we might need to change. And that is where transformation takes place here. The transformation will take place in the mind. So this is one of the things that we need to do. And then another thing is that people want quick fixes. So, and I have gotten this experience. People want me to go and turn around their business just like a spanner boy. I tell them, we need to understand the whole value stream first. We need to understand where you are coming from to where you are going. So we need to understand your strategy, then come up with your business backlog and then try to no. Don't go there. We know our business. You just come in here and then try to explain to them. Well, sometimes you realize that they need the change, but they don't know where the problem is. It's just like you are putting on a shoe, it's pinching, but you can't tell, is it a nail or is it the small shoe or is it your leg and your nails that are growing? So these are some of the challenges that we are facing. So I think we need to be a little bit more in the front, trying to help organizations and trying to showcase what transformation is all about, because even many organizations here locally and here in Kenya specifically will also go out there. They try to look at a framework and then they come and put the framework just like the way they have been told, and then not knowing that Alex talked about context counts. So what context are you in? Are you in software development? Are you in strategy development? Are you a non-government organization? Are you a bank? Then within that context, then you determine what are your needs and what framework or what method do you need, or what approach do you need for your Agile, because so many of them will come in, they just copy and paste, but then the results will be disappointing. So we need to be able to be aware of whether they are frameworks or whether they are approaches to project management. Then the next thing is that will come with training in the first place. But for us who are thought leaders and the ones who are pioneers in Agile, it will not go through because so many people are scared about what all this Agile is about, and they are scared about the change. Even transforming the mind is a big challenge. So we need to also be in a position where we will be able to handle people by coaching and mentoring. So if we are training, and I have liked it in the trainings that I have conducted here, someone comes in and then says like, it looks like this is where we were stuck and now we have been able to move forward. And that is testimony for me. So we need to be able to master our heart first if we are trying to say that we are going to help organizations. So then we competent enough to be able to help them to go beyond what they are. Everyone needs to be agile, but then how do we help them? By coaching them, by mentoring them, and helping them to move to the next stage. We will also want to say that we probably may also be very deliberate to know what is happening globally. I said that I am in a community of practice where we are trying to look at what is the next front for disciplined agile value stream consulting. And one of the things, and I like it, what PMI has come up with is that for us, myself included, to be a certified value stream consultant, then I will need to do a case study and then I will answer the questions based on that case study. So it helps now people to be able to prepare a little bit broadly, not to go and answer or tick questions, for them to be able to pass the examination. There are also other places where we can start. From PMI, we have got a kickoff project, which is free by PMI. You can go to kickoff, you can go to PMI and then you can search project kickoff. For those who are beginning the agile journey, there's a place where you can start for free to start understanding the terminologies at least and how it is applied. So PMI has done a good job there. You can go and have a look at it. Then there are also micro credential certification on agile where you can also go in for a small fee. And then also try to help now people to look at things from a broad perspective. Trying also to look at if we can also come up with a community of practice for agile practitioners here in the continent. I think it will also be one of the things that we can also help to move the agile journey and to help now a bigger adoption in in agile. And I can mention this because I said I am in a 7-man bench where we are talking about agile. Some of our colleagues are talking. Actually, we have piloted one of the things because we are trying to see how we can then put people together and start understanding the agile context, especially on disciplined agile and some of the elements that we need to have. We this week had a successful training with the Bank of Colombia, where they are looking at training more than 10,000. More than 10,000. I didn't say 10,000. We were having conversations with our colleagues in the US. Then they were asking me, Clement, what do you think is the target for you? Then I was very proud to say like 300 in the year. Then one of our colleagues was like, because he said that they normally do something to do with 400 in a month. So we even now incorporated other trainers and other people. So to try and see whether we can get the 120 trained participants or trained agilists in Africa in a month. In Africa in a month, because it's a challenge that people don't understand even what agile is. And we talk about disciplined agile, is that a PMI certification? So there's a lot that we need to do. The other thing that we are planning is in this year, globally, there's the Agile Alliance, and there's going to be a big event in July in Nashville, in Tennessee, and PMI is one of the big sponsors. There is one of the platinum sponsors, one of the 2 platinum sponsors. One of the things PMI has been doing, and one of the advantages with PMI is that PMI is a community. One of the things PMI has been doing was to set the internal processes the first, I think, 3 years. And now going forward, you are going to see a lot that is happening. And we are going to have an Africa conference, probably sometimes in October this year. So those are some of the things that we want to say in place and we are thinking about. So we need to approach as many organizations possible. This week.
sorry, Clement. Basically, can I just cut you short there? I'm just trying to, manage the time expectations that we have. And one thing I've actually, been able to get from this, and I think for the sake of the audience, is there's need for more awareness on developing the agile mindset across organizations. So I just really want to use this opportunity to actually treat the questions. People have been posting questions on the group, and I would like every one of us in the TikTok members, as body now, to actually deal with those questions. Please, sorry for cutting you short, okay? But wonderful response so far. Thank you, Clement.
Okay.
So, okay, we have a question, and also I saw on the chat box somebody ask if it's possible for them to anyone to answer questions. Please feel free to ask your questions. If I actually call out for anybody to ask questions, please unmute your mic. But I'm going to take the question from Martin. Martin asked, and I will throw that question to you, Yannick, to answer. What is the implication of Agile on cost estimation? Within a short few minutes, can you actually respond to that, Yannick?
So thank you. So basically, when we look at doing a project, so when we use Agile, so as everyone spoke today, it's about the mindset. So what the mindset is about is looking at a big piece of work and breaking it down into smaller chunks that provides value to the client. And when we have a smaller chunk, so at every iteration, we will inspect and we will adapt. So in very large projects that I work for in Australian government, we start to create an estimation, so in the traditional way, for like 4 or 5 years. So when you start to estimate that cost for 5 years, we can look at how in today's world with a war in Ukraine, how the currency is changing. So if I'm buying servers, I'm planning to buy 50, 60 servers, and the fluctuations in US dollar, it's very hard to really accurately predict how my estimation will be. And of course, I'm going to run over my budget. So by changing the way we think, looking at, okay, what do we need for that iteration? What do we need to build? And how much money do we need to estimate? So we start to get to a process where we will do an estimation into chunks. And then we can adjust the way we think and the adjustment based on the market, how the market is behaving. I can adjust my estimation. So that gets us to a closer reality of what things is instead of estimating it 4 years, 5 years in advance. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you, Yannick. We also have a question here. I would like Pete to also respond to this. What is the main difference on the way we manage projects today comparing using Agile methodology?
All right. So first of all, let me just first of all correct something in the use of the word methodology. I see Agile as a big umbrella. So it's an approach. When you say methodology, it makes like it's more like a rule, a law. If I do this, I'll get this, and then the result will be this. Now, the flexibility built into Agile make it look like a good approach, and then you can either pivot, you can either continue based on your result, empirical results. Now, having said that, I've got a very strong waterfall background myself, just like everybody on the call and the panel. In traditional way of project management, we are really structured, and don't get me wrong, it works. PMI that we have the platform today is able to survive that for more than 50 years because it works. However, we are saying on the Agile front, there is a better way of doing stuff. Certain stuff, context matters here. And this is where Agile differs a little bit from the traditional way of project management. Yannick just talked about costing now. If we have been costing 5 years, 3 years, yearly, annual, right? How can we do what we call the QBR, quarterly business review, or quarterly, do it quarterly? You will be more correct with your costing. In your delivery, we are not waiting to 12 months down the line to do acceptance tests. I remember as an engineer in those days, I am waiting after I've worked for 1 year on a project. I'm waiting for my customer to say tick, 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 tick on my acceptance test document, my ATP. If for some reason they disagree, I have to go back. And God help me if the problem was at the inception level. Do you know what that means? It means another 12 years into the future. Now, I am now waiting to the ATP document. I'm saying every 2 weeks, if I'm using Scrum, come to me. I'll show you what I've done. Have you met your definition of success? Give me a tick. 2 weeks. If you think it doesn't work, I fail early, I accept. I've just wasted 2 weeks, but I get it right in the next 2 weeks. So these are some of the differences between how work has been done in the traditional way and how it's been done today. Now, just 2 examples of how it has worked, it's working, and these are cut across several other areas. A very good example is you're moving people from those empowered few people. I'm the project manager on this project, and whatever I say is the last thing. I am the director, and so everything must come to with me. We are integrating this. Power goes to the people that are closest to working, which means what matters most is being determined by the people that work. They are the empowered species in this place, which means if I get my hands dirty working for 2 weeks, I can say, well, this is the best way of getting this. Their voice matters as well in the team. The product owner, for instance, in a small Scrum team can say, this small thing, I can actually take that decision. So they're empowered to take decisions instead of it flowing from top down. So you can see that there are massive examples of, differences between the way we used to work, or we still work anyway. If you choose to go the waterfall way, we still work, and agile ways of working. One gives you access to your result quite early delivery. One reduces waste quite early, waste reduction. One also make people's voice heard because they get their hands dirty, so they matter as well. And of course, on top of this, which is the foundation of everything we're talking about, people feel proud because of their mindset get change every time they say, oh, I've done a little bit of work, agile works, and then their mindset towards agile grows as well. So it's a massive question. It's a very good question, but there are a lot of differences. And of course, we can go on and go on and go on in that. So I hope I've been able to answer that in a short period of time.
Thank you so much for that, Pete. So I'll throw this question over to Alex. Now, concerning procurement in a government project, how can we manage with a tender process in an agile approach, using another agile approach?
Emeka, I think we can open this to the whole panel, right? And I think the next question is also the same in the same round. I have my experience. The others probably have great experience also. If they want to share, jump in, please. Okay. What I would say on this is using agile depends on what problem are you trying to solve, whether it is in a government project or in a humanitarian project. What are you trying? What is the value? Where is it? What are you trying to accomplish? Right? Is it you're trying to create a new product? Are you developing a new service? Are you building a new building? I don't know. So it's hard to tell without context. Once again, the context comes again, right? I can tell you anything I want, but I really need to have more information to give you a better answer. But what I can tell you is once you understand the context, you can see what's the best tool in your toolbox. An example of toolbox being Discipline Agile. You can find the best way to structure your team to create that. So that's agile approach can sell all kind of project. Oh, sorry, I just saw the question pop in. So it really depends on how you want to approach the problem, what people you want to put in on this, and the time frame that you're looking at, and other variables. But these are the one that comes to mind. I don't know what the others would like to add on this.
Let me
maybe I can jump in there.
Okay. Let's hear from Yannick first, then Clement, then Pete also has something to say. Quickly, just in a minute, please.
So thank you. Yes, so basically when you look at procurement, so in an organization, it's very important to really understand that Agile is about collaborations. So in an organization, so Agile encourages everyone to collaborate. So now when we look at procurement in an organization, it's part of one other activity that we do in a project. So there is another term, but it's called a cadence. So basically, if you have a song, everyone needs to sing with the same sheet, and all the musician is using the same sheet. So now if I'm doing my project and my development team is really developing the code really quickly, when we need to go to production, it takes 6 months or 12 months to go and buy the server. So we've got a blocker there. So this is where we really need to think that the organization as a whole, how do we restructure the organization to work in a different way? So this is what we call the mindset as well. So we will have the procurement people in the development team. So in that same team, so when we need to do a piece of work within an iteration, we need an output. Everyone who need to be involved to get that output is working together. So we don't do it in a sequential way, but everyone, instead of having a development team, a procurement team, a business team, so everyone is in one team. So we call us one team. So we are one team. We are not a business, but developer. So this is where collaboration and the way we think. We are no longer an individual. We are one team.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Yannick. Clement, you have something to say?
Yeah, thank you very much. To add on to what Yannick and Alex have said, the beauty of Agile is that it is user-centric in the first place. So in this case, and one of the guidelines of the mindset is applying design thinking. So how do we collaborate with the users to be able to collect or to gather their requirements? And their requirements will be more geared towards value. So we are conversant with user stories. You get to hear from the user the value that they will want at the end of the day. Then we create what we're calling minimum business increments that will be delivering continuous value. And in this case, you don't think of costing your project based on duration, but based on the value that you are going to get. You plan to do more with less, or you will want to do less with more. So these are some of the challenges that you may want to look at. And then also it goes again to the government way of looking at things, and the NGOs, and where they have failed probably is because they are not very keen to spend some time to get into the user to understand, or the stakeholders to understand requirements using design thinking, for example, to empathize and to get the requirements from the root cause and the value that they are going to deliver. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Clement. Grace, you have something to say to that?
Oh, yes. I saw a question here. I think the same question, and it talks about social development projects. And it took me back to when I first started my work experience. It was basically in social development, social housing. And so I'd like to take the cost question to a housing project and social development, right? I think when you do your PMI ACP, you would come across something called milestone contracting. That helps you, yes. It will basically that's what everybody has been trying to explain, milestone contracting. So you let's take, for example, you're building a house, and usually when we want to build a house, we do the working drawings, we do the elevations, and then from there we give it to the quantity surveyor, and then he does the costing of every component plus the fittings for the houses. But if you're trying to build a house from an Agile approach, think about doing the foundation first and doing the costing around the foundation. In my experience in housing projects, I think that over the years, by the time you begin to plan and you drag your cost over a year or probably over the time period for when you want to build a house, things like inflation creeps in, things like government regulations creeps in, a lot of regulatory issues begin to come in, and then the cost of the houses jumps up. And so, automatically every of the planning you've done becomes null and void. And so this is where milestone contracting in Agile helps you reduce the risk of overrunning cost. Now you can sit down and do your costing for foundation. And for how long will you do a foundation? If you're very quick, you might do a foundation for 2 weeks, depending on the type of foundation you want to do. And so you've reduced your risk. You're able to control the cost within that 2 weeks, and you quickly do your foundation before you start going to the lintels, right? And then you do your roofing and before you start your fittings. So that is one way agile approaches development. When it comes to social projects, and funny enough, I also did my master's, my thesis on how to build social housing using a collaborative approach. That's where my desire for and my love for Agile started coming in, because I wanted a project management space where we collaborate more. And while you're doing a social development project, there is a huge amount of collaboration involved, because you'll be thinking of consensus building, you'll be thinking of gathering a lot of stakeholders. Project management in itself has a lot of collaboration, because by the time you're doing each of your planning stages, especially when you get to your stakeholder planning, you need to do a lot of collaboration with varying stakeholders. And you group your stakeholders based on their interests, their influence, and all of that, traditional project management. So bringing Agile to social development, Agile will facilitate your collaboration. It helps you come to consensus. It helps you sit down with the people you're delivering a service to and basically talk to them one-on-one. That's where your design thinking comes in. User-centric. How do you really produce what the users really want and not what you think out of your head? Because that's what we've always been taught. You think out of your head, and as a town planner, as I started, usually, and I remember back in the day, they will always tell you, you plan for the people, and you plan with the people and not for the people. What we've always been doing over the years is planning for people. Now, Agile says plan with people. Come, sit down, talk to them, collaborate more with them, hear their feelings, and do, the design thinking approach. And boom, you're collaborating and providing what they want and not houses or services they cannot be able to afford. And so that's just the essence of Agile when it comes to government or basically a structured approach and then social development. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Grace. It's really been a very, very interesting and enlightening session. We can see that the time is quickly, fast spent. It's almost 4 minutes to 8 p.m. here in Nigeria. But at this point, I think for those of us who still have questions, please feel free to still drop your questions on the chat room. We'll ensure that every think tank member, Agile experts we have here will address those questions and respond via email. I would also like at this point to get final word in justice. That's in his final statement, just in one sentence from every team member here. I will start with Alex, Yannick, and guess to the audience and for Agile in Africa. So Alex, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'll be really short. Agile doesn't solve all the problems. People do, right? Let's end with that. I think we need people who are, committed. It's easy to say, yeah, we want to be Agile. Well, let's do it. Yeah. And when it's time to really act on it, yeah, you don't see many people leading the change. So that would be my take on this. Go out and be Agile. That's it.
Thank you, Alex. Grace?
I would say quickly, Africans are agile. We've been resilient over the years. We've had so many troubling times. So remember that you're agile already. We're just trying to wake up your agility. And so go for it. Be agile, get training, and start, doing some agile things in your organization. And before you know it, everybody catches the fever. So just go for it.
Thank you, Grace. Pete?
Yeah, context matters. Context really do matter. So everywhere you go, you want to apply Agile, what is your context? Think about Agile as a big umbrella. Under that big umbrella, there are several frameworks. And your situation is unique to you and different to other situations. And that is why that big umbrella provides you options and trade-offs to really be able to target your situation. So, and I'll leave you with this. That suggests that Agile is a journey, right? Which means you can't start today and be Agile today. The only thing you can start from the top is digging a hole. So I would say, get on the train, let's do it together, and let's go on the journey. The more you interact, collaborate, the more agile you become, and you can never be too agile. Thank you too much.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Clem, over to you, Clement.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would want to say, don't be scared of the big words and the buzzwords that are moving around. Start from where you are, build your own way of working, and it works. You also need to be ready to invest money. You also need to invest your time, and you also need to invest your mind if you want to learn about Agile and if you want to be Agile. So start from where you are and then evolve your way of working. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Clement. Yannick?
Yes, so basically my take will be just a summary of what everyone has already said. So Agile is a mindset, and to be able to change your mindset like everything else, so it is a journey. So you need to start somewhere and just take small steps and evolve, and also on yourself, so inspect and adapt. And also Agile is not better than waterfall, so we need to have context. So some stuff, waterfall is still good, so where things are really where we can predict, so where the requirements are really 100%, where the technology is proven, so there's no uncertainty. So this is where waterfall is. But if we are moving in a land where we call things are VUCA, so requirements are not well refined but are changing, but technology is far from uncertainty. So this is where Agile will be a good fit to help you guys. And then also Agile doesn't solve every problem. So there are projects that what we call they are doom, they are anarchy. So there's nothing. So we have no idea. So that will fail anyway, whether you use Agile or waterfall. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Yannick. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this session. From every one of us here in PMI Africa and every Agile think tank member, the experts we have here who have taken their time to actually be part of this session, we actually want to tell you, be Agile. All right. So I hand over to Anthony at this point. Anthony, thank you. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the think tank members. Thank you, Emeka, and also to all our attendees all over Africa. Thank you for attending this session. We'll be sharing more information in regards to upcoming sessions, which are going to be on a monthly basis. We have your details through the registration link that had been shared earlier. So we will be communicating, sharing with you the recordings, and if there are any questions that were not responded to, also we're going to be sending that on email. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a great evening. Bye for now.
All right. Bye-bye. Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All the best. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.